Well, Kirk's here.
Is he really?
Yeah. Well, it was a surprise.
Shit.
Put him on the fucking thumbnail again.
Dude.
Usually it works out that way.
Dude.
Yeah. Host of the Can't Get Right podcast, stand-up comedian, contributor to the Kyle Dunnigan Show and the Jimmy Dore Show, Kurt Metzger, back on the program. What's up, buddy? How's it going?
I'm okay. I just woke up.
Did you get yourself some coffee?
No, you know what I took is a pre-workout that I got from a GNC that must have had a shit ton of niacin in it because I feel you ever take niacin and get that weird flush
where it kind of
you
feels
feel like in your skin
growing
a
little bit. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
It has a lot of caffeine, so I didn't get coffee.
But you got that. Yeah. You got your juice some other way, I guess. That's cool. So there's a workout after the show. This is awesome. All right.
No, this will be the workout.
Yeah.
Just getting up early for a show.
I guess it's better than the Red Bull and the fucking Rockstar shit, right? Like, do you drink those things?
No, I mean I used to drink Red Bull all the time, but that'll fatten you up faster than. I think it like shuts your metabolism down for 2 days. Like when you drink Red Bull, it's like real. It's because of all the sugar more than anything.
It's not great. Yeah.
The drink, I guess, in wherever it comes from in Thailand, they don't sugar it up like that. It's just taurine and or guarana or whatever the fuck it's called. Yeah.
And taurine, everybody in middle school when it first came out, the Red Bulls were like taurine is tourist piss. I
never heard that.
Piss. That's what I heard when it first came out. I'm like, get the fuck out
really?
Of here. Oh, it's tourist semen or something. I'm like, oh, shut the fuck up.
They said it was tourist semen?
Sure, yeah. So this is
taurine is taurine sperm.
This is how
taurine testosterone.
This is how you get the trans agenda. You put bull semen in the energy drinks.
There you go.
And it replaces your the next generation's regular semen. It changes your testosterone.
Are they going to say it replaces the family?
Eventually, yes.
It undermines.
Eventually, you wind up with a new dad who's a furry who introduces himself as Ferdinand.
Ew, that sounds really specific. Like you met somebody.
There wasn't there like a kid's book. There was a whole kid's book series with Ferdinand the Bull.
Wait, are they?
Where I was going.
I don't even know where the fuck.
Are you guys? Are you guys grow up Catholic?
I grew up next to Catholics.
Because isn't like a drag story hour like a guy in a dress reading to your kids from a book? Isn't that kind of what church was?
No.
Maybe a little bit more magic.
I had nuns, and I went to Jesuit. A Jesuit kind of like church. Yeah, it was more New Testament. It wasn't Old Testament shit. It was all like, Jesus was more like a Buddhist. They told you why it felt good to give. I was very fortunate. My father, he went to Franciscan brothers. They were Old Testament. They would beat the fuck out of him. Me, I got lucky.
So you went to like where nuns don't, but there's a lot of variation with Catholic shit.
Yeah. I had Irish nuns from Ireland. In fact, 6 years ago when I came back, I was like 44. I just turned 50 recently. Thank you. But when I was like, they were going back, they were done here in Boca Raton, right? I only went to 2 years of Catholic school, but they were going back to Ireland. So I said, well, my mom's like, let's make them a nice meal. So Sister Josephine, Sister Ellen came over. I made them braised lamb with white mashed potatoes and a nice string bean salad, but we also drank together. We got a little drunky before they went off back to Ireland. It was a real fun fucking time. I had cool ass fucking nuns. Like Sister Josephine is one of the people in my life that I remember like, all right, we cool. Because I went there in 7th grade. My mother pulled me out of regular school because she had to have her son in fucking Catholic school. Nah, I'm just kidding, Mom. All right, whatever.
Wow, that was very Catholic of you.
Yeah,
this whole episode.
Catholic guilt, right? Right? They're saying, but we talked about the other day. I'm like, yeah, you pulled me out of regular middle school with all my friends to put me in Catholic school. with a bunch of, and I like the nuns. I didn't like the kids there. Like half the kids I wanted to fucking smack, with their.
Yeah, right.
Wait,
you grew up in Boca?
I moved to Boca when I was young. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. I moved to Boca in 1980, late 79. Because we went right after the hurricane was there. I think it was Hurricane David and shit. And so I think I moved right 1980. But every year I was going back to New York because we had family pizzerias and shit. So, and my mom in the beginning, she had to be with her sisters in New York and shit. So we were going back to New York almost every summer, doing that kind of thing. And, so I had a connection, New York to South Florida. South Florida was just another borough of New York when I moved there anyways.
It sounds like a heroin route.
Well, our good friend Brett Ernst, what I'm saying, he went to school right around the corner.
Did he?
Oh yeah,
he
was.
Brett.
I think he went. I can't remember. I don't want to quote it. I don't know if he went to Ely or Dillard, but yeah.
Dude, Brett, I love that Brett has a whole bunch of like friends that he has a lot of friends of shady character. Like if you need a guy, if you need a guy for a thing, he'll find you a guy.
Absolutely, absolutely. We call them fam. So
he was friendly. He knew. Last time I saw him, he was telling me about. Remember who's that guy that had Girls Gone Wild? Joe Francis. Remember that guy, Joe Francis?
Yeah.
And at some point it came out that a tape of him came out where he's like tied up and he's like drugged and he has like a vibrator in his ass cheeks.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm with Boys Gone Wild, and it was because I don't really understand this plan. This guy drugged and kidnapped him and tied him up and made this video to like blackmail him. Like, if you don't, I'm going to show people this, you got to dildo on your butt cheeks and then you're going to be considered gay. This could only have been done, I guess, like over a decade ago, a plan like this to shame you.
Otherwise, like right now, it's somebody's intro video on their Tinder profile.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think even then, Joe Francis, the guy got caught. Anyway, Brett Ernst knew that, was like friends with that guy. The one that kidnapped Joe Francis. Not that fuck Joe Francis, but what a strange way.
To have a connection.
I'm going to tell everyone you had a dildo on your butt cheeks. No.
Well, that guy Francis got out of line because he didn't tell people that it was like a continuing membership. And then they wouldn't catch on till like 6 months later. Like, you guys been taking $9.99 out of my bank account every month.
Wait,
Girls Gone Wild, motherfucker.
I had no idea. So
he was like one of the originals to do that shit.
Well, I always heard he was a piece of shit. Like, remember Doug Stanhope Doug Stanhope at some point was like in those videos, like being funny. I guess you don't mix like porn and comedy. That does not work. Anyway,
Big J seems to do it all right. Tripoli seemed to manage navigate, or at least like hosting AVNs and shit like that. I guess so. Hosting
AVNs, I wouldn't call any of those a success. I've never heard anybody be like, oh yeah, it's an amazing gig. Mostly it's like you get a stern warning.
It was successful.
Yeah, but I mean, what I mean is like nobody wants to like hold their dick and have a laugh. It's just not. Anyway, Doug Stanhope said, I don't want my DNA within 15 feet of Joe Francis. He said that. And Big J met him years ago and was like, that guy's a piece of shit. And for Jay to be like, you're a piece of shit as like some dirty fucking porn. Jay loved all those, like, some girl you might know for some reason took her tits out. Like, I never got that, to be honest with you. I'm all or nothing. Either it's a full porn or let's do something else. I don't want to, show your tits. Like that real, like, morning radio, chicks making out kind of bullshit. Like, he loves all that. Anyway, Joe Francis, I've never heard a good word about him from anybody.
Yeah.
Oh, when Jay met him, he had a black eye because when he would be, the tactics, I guess, he used on credit cards, he also used on girls, including like people's girlfriends. So some guy hit him because he would like, come on, like he'd pressure them.
Yeah.
Girls that weren't like into it, he'd just be harassing them.
I think the last time I saw him, wasn't he on an episode of that stupid show on fucking HBO with Jerry Ferrara and the guys and the Dillon?
He was on Entourage?
Wasn't he on Entourage in an episode? I think that was the last time I saw him.
Sounds like something
dude. He didn't have a dildo in his ass, so I didn't recognize him. But, but that's it. Is Doug Stanhope still alive or?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. All right. I'm sorry, guys. That's why I'd like to meet him one day. I was watching some of his comedy the other day. It's pretty good shit.
Yeah, Stanhope's great.
He's pretty good shit, man.
I think he lives in Arizona in Bisbee.
Nice.
Yeah.
Fucking Bisbee.
Nice.
I had to.
I've never been there.
I had to.
You've been to Bisbee, Steve?
A lifetime ago when I was doing the Renaissance Festival thing, I had
that checks out. That's the kind of place.
I had a job during the week.
It's going through Bisbee.
I worked for a concrete company, and we had like a couple of like giant jobs in Bisbee while I was down there, and it just keeps you out of trouble.
It's like what I imagine is where like chicks from cities who make their own jewelry where they go to retire would be Bisbee.
Yeah, it's a giant Etsy store. It is.
Yeah, like an Etsy broad moves.
Yeah.
Wait! Don't every chick like have one of those like kind of times in their life where I just made jewelry, even if it was a couple weeks in between jobs or something like.
My buddy's wife.
So it's hella bougie though. Like it's
right.
You know how Santa Fe got like super shit libby art kind of.
No, but my ex-girlfriend was from Santa Fe, and that's how she described it, as that kind of place.
Bisbee's like that, but smaller. So even more Stepford-ish, and yeah.
But the money thing, like, I definitely bring it up all the time, but that ESG shit's really amazing. How that's like created like the purest shit lib, because that's all the money, all the major money shit is tied to that. So of course, like, that's why I slowly saw like over like a period of years is like the real kind of like liberal types where you're like, oh, I see what this is about. Is like it's such a money, like if you want to be in the right thing. And I guess how it works is like companies get like subsidies or something based on how many points they get.
Yeah. That's the thing is I don't think they found out completely how they're gonna make money off everything on all the ESGs. Like in certain areas, there's just no money in it. I think it's
just subsidy money. They're not. I don't
that's
think
it. It's just money's kicked by the government to give you for doing this shit. You're not going to actually make money off the practice itself. At least they haven't found that.
You saw
way yet.
Vanguard pulled out of the environmental portion. Vanguard's like, of course that'll be the first portion. Like we can sacrifice.
But there'll be other people that will fill that void, right? Because that extra money is up for grabs, and all they want to do is get the subsidy money, and that's it.
What Vanguard will do on the back end is they'll invest in and put startup money in the brokerage houses that barter carbon credits. And so they'll be able to get points off of every time somebody goes plus or minus over their allowable carbon allotment for the year, because that's how they're going to solve the problem with the environment or with the carbon. Is they're going to make arbitrary numbers, and they're going to say you have X amount of credits per year per country, and if you go over them, it's okay, because you can buy somebody else's unused carbon credits to offset it.
Yeah,
and then that'll balance it out.
Yeah,
it'll balance.
It's called. I like that. That it's everything's like so feudal now that the church sells indulgences again.
Yeah,
that's an amazing system. I really like that. Like you could buy a certain amount of sin credits a year back in the day if you were a lord.
Come on now.
That's what it is. It's just called. When they asked Bill Gates about it, he goes, well, I buy carbon credits. Who used to like, I remember that was a thing for years where they would be like, well, like carbon tax, like that's going to fucking be an answer.
Yeah.
Any of these solutions where they're like, oh, you're going to get a tax credit for like not having a stove or whatever the fuck. I just that's not a good.
How about we stop bombing people first and dropping so much weapons and maybe see how that does
we have to do that. You have to just not use a normal straw.
You don't understand. if you don't give up all of your rights and give all of your money to a bunch of sociopathic cretins, while eating bugs, the weather doesn't get better.
Um,
It's the only way that the weather gets better.
have you ever met a cretin, like a real one? You know what it is? Like
I
your
believe
tongue's
I
supposed
have.
to. It's supposed to be their tongue's always kind of like this. Like I've never seen a person, but that's a condition.
A cretin?
Of cretinism.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I got a coffee up.
I've seen a couple of people that frequented a bar called the Druid's Arms Inn in
In
what
D
was
and
that?
D.
No, Louisville, Colorado,
Yeah.
outside of Boulder. Yeah, there were a couple of people that were I guess you would call them, but at least borderline cretins, at least by the third pint.
No, it's like like a mental disability plus your tongue kind of like hangs out of your mouth. It's not all. It's not all the R word. There's different conditions. Hey, what is this?
Is Eric Adams a cretin? He might
No.
be.
His
He
tongue
might be.
isn't like my bulldog was, because his tongue would always be hanging out. Wait, what did you tell me was the fun stuff you had? I saw that in your text, and I was like, "What?"
Okay, well, fun kind of means horrific, but there is some psychedelic related shit that is also really interesting. But this shit,
Okay.
since we were kind of talking about the carbon nonsense and the climate, so this is New York City mayor letting everybody know what the real problem is. He's going to tell you who the real killer is, or at least
Of what?
nature's killer. The real killer of nature, Kurt, it's food.
1 in every 5 metric tons of carbon dioxide our city emits comes from food. But all food is not created equal. The vast majority of food that is contributing to our emission crises lies in meat and dairy products. We already know that a plant power diet is better for your physical and mental health, and I am living proof of that. But the reality is that thanks to this new inventory, we're finding out it is better for the planet.
So I don't know who gave him that to read. Like who hands him that?
Someone who hates him, apparently.
No, I don't mean like. I mean I don't know. I would have read it better. I just mean like that's not his initiative. Like whose initiative that they go, hey, you're going to be.
Well, that's part of a couple of different programs. One, the resurgence of the Paris Accord stuff. They were trying to have some urban specific goals. Go ahead.
Do you know about the Paris Accord? Because I remember that was a big thing people bring up back in the day of George Bush withdrew us from that. And I thought the Paris Accords were kind of horseshit, but I honestly don't really know.
Yeah, no, they were. So it was a voluntary program that if you wanted to get, again, this is all some sort of subsidy crap and trying to create this carbon market that Bill Gates and all of the other idiots are talking about, how you can daylight savings time the environment and take some carbon from over here and somehow by money transfer it offsets carbon from over there. That's where they
even if when they were doing the indulgence thing for sins, which is I guess like with this carbon is like that, even back then for like a made up thing, people were like, hey, this isn't fair. Like, people were like, that's not how that works. And that's an imaginary thing. That's not even a thing of, now it's just starting to sound like when I was a Jehovah's Witness and they, when I was a kid, the end was supposed to have happened already, probably like 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And then they adjusted something in their timetable. They didn't give a specific time because they had made that mistake in the 70s. So they knew not to do that anymore. But it was like, it's going to be soon because this generation can't pass away from 1914 until the end. So, that obviously was not going to happen. So then they made it like, oh, now it's even more urgent because we have no idea. It could be any second. They did like a cool flip of anyway, that's what since I've been a kid, we had 11 years to go before the earth boiled. Since I was a kid.
Yeah.
I'm not even like, I doubt with the signs of it. I don't even fucking know, but I'm like, this sounds awfully familiar. There's something a little, and then everything's just about me with a straw There's something suspicious about it.
Do you have your straw though, just to make sure?
No, it
Okay.
gets soaked like a fucking tampon. It's the dumbest shit anybody ever came up with.
With paper straws?
Yeah.
The situation that's going on right now when it came to the COVID and what's even taking place in Ukraine, the people think it's a religious war. Like they're mentally back there. They think like COVID right now. A lot of the people they think it's a religious war. Go ahead, buddy.
Yeah, it is. That's why they wear a face burqa. Dude.
No, not. No, I'm talking about the other side.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Did you see Mark Hamill
with the Nazi flag behind the three guys?
Nazi. The actors
Can we
are the
play
dumbest
that?
people.
We haven't done that yet.
Sure.
That's what I was excited
I had
about.
it yesterday. I was gonna try to bring it on up.
I sent it to Rogan because the Jon Stewart one. I brought that up on Rogan's show twice while I was there because I think it's the greatest.
Yeah.
Walt Disney's dream finally came true that a Jew would give a Nazi a medal with Mickey looking approvingly with a.
Walt Disney's dream came true that a Jew would give a Nazi a medal. Here it is.
So let's take a look.
Now Mark Hamill didn't even want Trump's kid dressing up like a fucking Star Wars thing because that was too close to Nazism.
Dude says I'd say it's wild to see Mark Hamill in a Zoom meeting with dudes waving a Nazi flag, but it's 2023, so
he doesn't know what that is. I mean, the red and black should have been a clue, but maybe he was like, but I love that. Mark Hamill's like, oh, it looks like a Star Wars thing. It looks like
yeah, that's all. Yeah, that's fantastic. It's the Black Sun.
Our fight against them, we are all like Luke Skywalker. Oh my God. But he is a fucking idiot, Mark Hamill, huh?
5.1 million followers on Twitter.
Do you think they gave him money to do it, or do you think that's the thing he just wanted to do? This is clearly a setup thing.
I mean, you mean the setup thing with the Nazi flag, or just
no? That's what I'm
talking
saying.
About the whole forum and being like,
this is like Sean Penn's going to give his Oscar to Zelensky.
It's normalizing and humanizing the poor Ukrainians that are under attack. You know what I'm saying?
But these aren't even you're not even talking the ones under attack yet. These are like this is all the military ones and. Like, this is some kind of military op, obviously, because they ask you, but why would you not have the sense to tell them not to put their Black Son of Himmler's SS up in the background? Why does this keep happening?
We have an order much like Jedi. We are also knights.
Yes, we are also afraid of a large black man. We would
also wear robe with hood frequently.
We would also scream no if black man was father.
Also have eyeball on sister.
No!
Occasionally you make out with your sister. These things happen. It's all right though. Jesus Christ. Yeah.
But he did put in the thread, I don't care what flag it is, I just support the Ukrainian people. And they're like, you're supporting Nazis, asshole. That's what we're trying to tell you.
This is why he's so he's one of these people that's hysterical about Nazis. This is why I love this, because every actor's like, oh my God, the tiki torches, and then they're talking the tiki torch brothers across the ocean. Him saying that is I imagine him calling a handler and a PR person or whoever hooked this up for him, being like, what do I say? I don't even think that it was him saying like, I don't care what flag it was. I think someone handles that for him, because the second these people hear they're talking to people with Nazi shit, they must say, I don't know all about all that. They have someone they talk to. I don't mean like a government person necessarily. I mean like a PR person. Like I know a bunch of these kind of PR people that do. Like I met I kind of know her, but the guy who's the Breaking Bad guy, Bryan Cranston.
Yeah.
She was like, you gotta get a PR person. Just tell me all about how you need to have a PR person. I mean, it's probably good. It's probably why it won't stick, the Nazi flag thing with Hamill. But that's getting out more and more, because if it's not that big a problem, all the Nazis there, why do they keep accidentally leaking Nazi shit every time they do a feel good story. Like that's a crazy problem to have.
Because it's not a leaking, it's infested, and there's no way to avoid it. You know what I'm saying? It's just like
because people go out of their way to cover up for that shit. So even with all that, they still
because
they
it's
still be like,
saturated
"Guys,"
there. It's like fucking. This is where the Nazis still stayed and lived and hung out for quite some time. I mean,
they're getting an SSG score.
I mean, look, there's some argument. I don't know, or argument or debate, or I'm wondering where you're at on the leaks and stuff. But
there's something very suspicious about it. When I try to figure out why a fucking National Guard jerk off has those. I mean, I know the government. I guess taking home classified shit's like stealing a stapler at this point from the office because everything's classified. But the Discord is a part of a Tencent company, so that's China. And I've seen shit for a while, especially on my YouTube feed, about how fucked up Discord is because China's getting all. There's I think it's Moon is the channel. A guy gets a lot, and some of the stuff he has is interesting. His things about Reddit they're very interesting too. But a lot of like China owns this and they're getting your information. Where I'm like, so I like all the things he's describing as horrific about how the CCP is getting this and that are the exact same things the government here is doing.
Or has been doing for quite some time, and even
for a lot.
Yeah. To the point where, Steve's done stories on Slow News Day about how they're fucking subcontracting out warehouse space just to store the fucking data, right? To like people like Edwin Snowden who are like, hey man, they're spying on the U.S. citizens, our own government 3 times more than they are Russia and China put together. And that's why we were given these powers by the Patriot Act so we could do
I never heard it put that way, actually, what you just said. I didn't I know they do, but the biggest, that's clearly the biggest, I think everybody's like, oh, so what? Everybody's like puts their shit, let's say the government didn't do that. Everybody puts their shit on social media for just everyone to spot. Hey, come spy on me. Check out my ass. That's everybody volunteered for it. So that's why it's hard. I think people don't like. Yeah. I don't think there's any concept of like what that would lead to. It certainly wasn't for me when I engage in all the social media shit.
Yeah,
happily.
When it comes to the leaks, right? So there is.
For fuck's sake.
Oh yes. Okay, go ahead.
What?
No, go ahead.
No. What were you gonna say?
No, just the leaks. Go ahead.
Well,
go ahead, because that cracks me up. It does, the whole thing.
Because I always go leaks. I got my air quotes. Like, a lot of people, how it was used, a mechanism of how it was gotten out there. Now, first of all, a lot of that shit we already fucking knew. We already knew there was NATO troops on the ground. It's been reported before. I think the New York Times did it a long time ago, or the Post did a small story. We saw video of it, right? A long time ago. We knew there were NATO troops in there. We also can put 1 and 1 is 2 that a lot of the equipment that they were using wouldn't be able to be operated by a lot of the Ukrainian forces, that NATO troops had to come in for some of the more advanced weapons to use those. They were the only ones who knew how to use them. Just like the whole argument with the planes. Oh, they're giving them MiGs and shit. Like, well, who's going to fucking fly them, asshole? It's not like
MiGs they need. They were going to we got to give them F-16. That's a lot of congressmen here.
They need more. They actually... They read in Russian, right?
You can't just switch to a fucking F-16 if you are trained on MiGs.
Yeah. And they're gonna make you believe that what was it, monkfish and goose or monkfish and juice, the Ukrainian pilots that they brought to fucking the United States to ask for the F-16.
Ukrainian Top Gun.
You don't remember that?
Top Gun pilots just like you.
Their name was
monkfish and juice.
No, I don't remember that.
Juice? Was it monkfish and juice?
Something like that.
I was formerly called Jewfish, but we changed for your monkfish is wow. I saw Top Gun 2, and I thought that was the pilot's pronouns they were using. I didn't know. Please, I identify as monkfish.
Right.
But a lot of the things we already knew. There were so many things in there that we already suspected. I think the way they kind of leaked the body count as far as deaths to Ukraine, to Russia, a lot of people call bullshit on there. So it seems like they wanted to have a certain kind of narrative out there, but push a different narrative. A lot of us believe that there is going to be an off-ramp of some sorts because you see Samantha Power from USAID going in, already carving up, saying corporations come on into the new Ukraine is coming. Nestle's already here. Bayer's coming in. Bring your money and your investment. And I would think there'd be no way of selling that unless there was a complete standstill, done, war over, keep the Donbass and Crimea. We'll take the rest kind of mentality.
Yeah,
we'll do
I thought it was
here.
like I thought it was maybe a thing on purpose to like off ramp out of it, but it's definitely a thing. The thing that surprised me is like you weren't already spying on Discord. If I knew this China shit like a year ago, how did they don't know that? That can't be.
Yeah.
So you're absolutely correct. The whole thing just reeks of this is this is an op from start to finish. The 21-year-old Air National Guard kid has real-time troop movements and intel, not just regular. Here's a report from the military, from the unit on the ground. These were stamped CIA and NSA. The documents were the whole thing. This kid just screams Patsy to me. But I mean, the moment that this shit came out, I said all of this. I said the exact same thing you just did now, Kurt, about this being an off ramp or like pivot point for them to go over to Taiwan, because Ukraine is, they can move the actual money laundry now. They've got weapons pouring in there for the next decade. They've got destabilization all they want with Bayer to get Monsanto for the entire bread basket of Europe, to replant all of Ukraine's wheat fields with their Terminator seeds. Russia kicked out Monsanto, but when the wind kicks up and all those Terminator seeds blow into the Donbass and blow into the Luhansk and the rest of the Russian Federation, Monsanto is going to be able to take them to court and tie them up for a nice while over that, and that'll be fun.
Did you really see that show Eagleheart on Adult Swim with Chris Elliott? And he's like a Chuck Norris Walker Texas Ranger.
Oh man,
I've
I've
friend
seen
of mine,
episodes, but I haven't not to.
So his character's name is Chris Monsanto, and he's and he's like this Chuck Norris show. It makes a friend of mine who I worked with on a Saj's show, and he created it. It makes me laugh so much every time I see it. And he had it was like when Brett Gelman was still a fucking. That guy's a tool bag, but he was funny on that show. Is it Brett Gelman, the one with the bald head and the beard? Yeah, he's a dipshit. I mean, some of these people are dipshits now, but not my buddy made Eagleheart. But that's the name of the Chris Elliott murder cop.
Chris Elliott's fucking crazy, man.
Why?
Dude's
Wait.
nuts. Well, no, I mean, he fucking goes all the way.
Do you remember Get a Life? That was the show that I knew him.
Yeah,
that was a good fucking show.
He went.
No idea what you guys are talking about.
Chris Elliott played a 30-year-old paper boy.
And
who
then
lived with his parent. It was unusual back then.
And then he did. Yeah, right. That was abnormal.
You're 30 and you live with your parents. That was one of the big gags of the show. How hard is the economy falling? Jesus Christ.
Oh man.
By the way.
Well,
go ahead. I just say before we left the leaks too as well. I know we like to drift off too as well. The leaks spell the end for Ukraine. Let's not also forget too as well that a lot of the questioning from the token generals when they were saying, well, and Steve brought this to the show the very first day. Well, what are you going to do about security? How are we going to stop this again? What are you going to do? Why was this information so easily to be obtained? Yeah, right. And we do have the Restrict Act sitting right over there.
Oh, yes.
On the table. Well, it's funny that you ask because
they had
it's also
act over here that would have stopped this guy. Go ahead, guys.
The New York Times, the Washington Post, and fucking Bellingcat hunted down the leaker and handed to them.
As soon as this Bellingcat dude, then you're like, okay, the whole thing's a fucking arranged thing. Bellingcat, I never even heard of it. There's nobody I know knows what the fuck that is. I didn't even know the news media acted like it was a thing until very recently. Like, I'm trying to imagine, like, I must know someone who thinks Bellingcat is some kind of source of information, but I mean, I would imagine default is people either don't know what the fuck it is, or they're like, oh, is that like some kind of CIA? If you know what it is, you must know it's connected to that. Or MI6. What is it? What's that? I guess it's all the intelligence agencies, right?
Yeah, but
They disseminate shit through Bellingcat.
Specifically, it starts with MI6 and then CIA. There's also a little Mossad that gets thrown in there, but
Sprinkled with Mossad.
Yeah. It's like a light dusting of hummus.
I didn't know how much the Mossad's not friends with the CIA. Like, I didn't know. Like, did you ever see what's his name, John Kiriakou, talking about how they don't let any Mossad into the fucking building for briefings because they can't be trusted. Like, they would do things like give them a plaque, like an award. Like, oh, hang it up in your meeting room, and then they scan it. And there's like a listening device.
And yet they still buy all kinds of software to go spy on other countries from Unit 8200 connected software firms.
Yeah, they're good at it.
And the CIA does. The U.S. government has Unit 8200 connected spyware in all of their shit. And every couple of years, there's a story that comes out in one of the major publications where they're like, those darn Israelis, we caught them spying again. You know, but I mean, this goes back to Robert Maxwell and Promise Software in the 80s.
Well, I think they do get, here's what it is. I think those companies, like the intelligence thing, they do get mad about that. But it's the bottom line is the Washington people, like, the official thing is, like, if AIPAC or somebody doesn't like a nominee for a thing, they're not getting the job. So I kind of, it's almost like, I guess, how like the State Department is the gung ho Ukraine shit, and the Pentagon was the one being like, hey, like, slow down a little bit. There's a, that's Washington's, like, that's full of the crazy ideology. Those are the people who think you could just send F-16s,
Yeah.
Like, they're just stupid. They're like actors. They're just like actors. They're like, Mark Hamill is the same brain power as somebody who's in representative government.
Yeah.
Pretty
100%. Absolutely, without a shadow of a doubt. And in some cases, the actors are even a little bit smarter than the lawyers.
I would say a lot. Good point. Fair point. Yeah.
Yeah, with enough rote memory and stimulants, you can pass the bar exam.
I think I could. I think my chances are good.
Yeah, it's just Adderall.
I just took some gym pre-workout, so I'm ready for the bar.
Are you gonna take the Rogan one? What's the one they take there that those guys take?
I don't know.
I don't know. The
it's
brain
funny.
power shit. They're alpha brain.
Yeah,
Alpha
I haven't.
brain.
I've never talked to him about that. What do they call them? Nootropics. NOO nootropics. They're called. So that shit that the FTX kid was on.
Yeah,
but those were like state of the art nootropic chemicals. He had on with like a patch. But I used to get those Obama pills, Provigil. I used to get those. I remember I asked about it. My doctor was like, "Oh yeah, I took those in med school." But the thing is, you can't really take them. Like, it's a diminishing return. So the first day or so you take it, it's crazy. You're like, and it's not like speed. It's a different thing. It's just very alert, and like your brain works really well. And but what happens is, it was a narcolepsy drug. That's how it started. It was for people with narcolepsy. It works a different way than like, I don't know, Adderall or something does. It does it rather than, I don't know, boosting dopamine or whatever. It inhibits something that makes you go to sleep, as opposed to jacking you up, I guess.
Okay.
I know I'm mangling how that works, but anyway. Okay. Obama, that's, every president has their kind of speed they got to take to deal with being a fucking puppet and a charade and a murderer. So they have that. So he took that Provigil, and then the FTX kid was on the next level shit where they always have these bizarre side effects. Like, that kid couldn't eat meat or he might die because of this drug he was taking, which I've never even heard of that. But apparently you have to like not eat meat while you're on it. Or
man,
it could, like,
I have
react and kill you.
Some mushroom compounds and some like herb shit that I take. pretty regularly now. Does wonderful.
Is that why you dress like Luigi from Super Mario to Pasta's Mario?
It's true. It is. Yeah.
You're the
I'm the only one who knows how to like do any actual plumbing, which is unfortunate. But yeah.
What do you mean unfortunate? It's the greatest thing.
We were hoping. You know what? I
thought you were gonna say if you catch my drift, like Jeselnik.
because that movie just came out. I almost did a thumbnail today where I was gonna make you Wario.
Nice.
Yeah.
He would have been a good Wario.
The bad Mario,
Yeah, Wario. Yeah, it's the bad Mario. The yellow one, right?
Maybe next time.
There's Mario, Luigi, and Wario.
Yeah. But Wario was Elon Musk was the greatest Wario. Did you see him do Wario? It's like it was a bad episode of SNL. I mean, they're all stinking out, but he had a big sketch. He played Wario. I see it as a meme all the time of him dressed up like Wario.
I usually see the picture of him in like the Baphomet costume that he wore to some Met Gala thing.
Oh,
like a custom leather breastplate. You haven't seen that?
No, he had a goat head and tits, is what you're telling me.
I mean,
otherwise it's not Baphomet.
On a leather suit, yeah. Let's pull that up.
Do you know Baphomet is not like, well, from what I understand, is not a real. That's like a bunch of. It's from like middle-aged crusaders. Mistake like that's what they called Muhammad, and they started saying Baphomet in whatever French because they couldn't pronounce it, and it's just hilarious. Like talk about insulting somebody's religion. They're like, oh yeah, like when I was Jehovah's Witness, they're like, are you guys bury your dead in your backyard or something? You're like, what? Because there's no crazy made up things. That's what they said about Islam. They're like, don't you worship a goat with like tits?
And they're like,
that's kind of Baphomet.
We kind of do. You gotta see the breastplate, buddy.
That's still not that. That's some fantasy bullshit.
That is.
I'm not saying that he didn't walk in there also holding some 20-sided dice. I'm not saying that wasn't part of it too.
That really could just be.
But he dresses like a foot soldier.
Mortal Kombat, dude.
Yeah.
The upside down cross is a weird part of it, but it just looks more metal. I like seeing Elon with that BBC guy because he looks so excited that he got a win on him. Oh, didn't see that coming, did you? Oh. He's like he gets all he gets giddy because this reporter suck that bad.
I mean, really, when it comes to reporters, Kurt, they're not sending their best. They're really not.
Not the BBC.
No.
Well, I think UK is known for having like really shitbag report, like the worst of the worst.
And just yet they somehow gave us David Icke.
I mean, their best one is a guy that realized he was Jesus fighting the lizard people. That's like the best one they have. Do they have a better one than him?
Ian Davis is pretty solid.
Does he still say that he's Jesus, or is he? How does he explain that?
He's backed away from "I'm Jesus." I think he's on to "We're all Jesus" now.
Oh, okay. Because I always wonder, like, what the I'll watch him talk about. Does he still say interdimensional lizards, or is he kind of back away from that?
Well, lately, you know what? Okay, so I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. I have not heard a lot from David recently. He was on some pretty significant 5G makes the COVID activate thing. After making a bunch of very salient points of that are all like, it's with all of these guys, there's a whole bunch of stuff that if you actually do, more than surface level digging on it, it does check out. It's presented extra sensationally, and then there's that bit at the end that is just meant to discredit all of it, so that anytime you or I are talking about some wild shit that the government,
that's what you think. You think that's what? is that like David Icke's doing that purposely? You think?
I
Or
think
why?
he probably believes it. I think he believes
Well,
it. I
because
don't get.
if you listen, look, where he's like, I watched a bunch of things of him where he talks about it, and it's like, you know, there's a reason like Revelation in the Bible is so popular for so many years. Whatever era you're in, it works. You could match shit up to it and go, oh, this is it. This is like, you know, is written at now that we're in our end of Rome phase. It really fucking works. You know, if you're in like some kind of Bible beater religion, it probably the signs of the times are pretty. You know, I always say to my mom, like, hey, what if you like were a Jehovah's Witness in Iraq? Don't you think it would have seemed like Armageddon for like the last 20 years to you? Not just now, maybe anyway.
Yeah,
the metaphors.
That's a fair point too.
So his shit, like, you know, all these famous the royals are lizard people, and like they're obsessed with bloodlines. Like metaphorically, yeah, they're all, but everyone's obsessed with bloodline. The part don't work for me is, you think humans wouldn't be doing this if not for some shitty lizards stepping in and making us bad? It's in the same like almost Rousseau bullshit of you know, man's noble normally, but then like these influences come in, and lizards aren't even as vicious as human beings. Like I've seen it. You watch videos of people have lizards, you can pet them and shit. Lizards are kind of nice creatures. I don't think it's like cool to put it on them like that.
I mean, that's a fair point. It's a
primates.
I will
primates
say
are
this.
Yeah.
I think that we've been sold we've been sold the concept that there's no money in peace. Effectively, the standard operating procedure of society going back for several hundred years at least has been that the people who prosper the most are the people who arm both sides in any conflict.
Yeah, but then they say once you get a global neoliberal thing going, then they say, oh no, we need to maintain the peace because we're all the trade and the peace and the trade. Like, well, I've heard that war helps the economy and shit. Like I remember hearing that as a kid for sure. But I don't know that it does. I think it does if like you're taking, you know, invading somewhere and taking their shit. Hitler style,
and then it helps,
and then it makes jobs.
Yeah, I mean, so there's a number of different ways that it does, but as all wars are bankers' wars, the vast majority of war profiteering stays within that framework. You know, it's not. I mean, it's not like it really trickles down to all of us. So there is significant profit in war. It's just localized. But war in and of itself is one of those things where the main point is to, you know, further consolidate wealth, power, and resources into smaller and smaller hands. So eventually the profits are going to get to the point to where it's hyper localized. The money.
I thought you meant. I honestly thought when you said smaller hands for a second, I thought you meant like people with physically smaller hands. Until a very rich man with hands this big will finally.
Yeah, they're gonna pull the curtain back, and the wizard is gonna be about 3'3", itty bitty teeny tiny hands, and that's why the money has to go digital, because he can't count all the money that is consolidated with tiny little midget hands. So digital currency, that way you can just look at it on a screen. You don't have to feel inadequate.
Oh, I don't know. I put all my money in NFTs, so I'm not worried about it.
Man,
I put my money in Bored Apes.
Bored Apes, not the Trump NFTs.
I didn't get the collection of Trump NFTs.
He's doing new ones too. I just saw that this morning. In light of the success of the first round of Trump NFTs, nobody bought.
As well sells. Nobody did. It's like him in his spacesuit.
I saw one where he's holding the Liberty Bell.
Nice.
And
We're gonna fill in this crack. It's gonna be a great bell.
Right.
It's gonna be a terrific bell.
It'll be whole once again.
Do you watch? I started watching all. Here's what I got really into is all these people that used to be secret space program super soldiers. Have you watched these people talk about it?
I've seen a couple of interviews. Yeah.
None of them. It's always amazing they were super soldiers because none of them. Let's just say none of them have the shoulders of what you would consider a super soldier. They have the shoulders of a smaller, but they were super soldiers. But it's great. It's like a team created like mythology almost because they throw in, like I could recognize little bits from other stuff that I heard before. And the one guy I watch now, this guy must know, and he lives in Florida. I don't know what part of Florida, but it's amazing. Like it sounds kind of interesting at first. They all start out with, or not all, but the ones that are kind of good, they have a few interesting details. You're like, oh, that's interesting, and then they have to keep coming up with more shit. So then it starts to get like stupid. So this guy, like, I saw his initial story. The 20 and back program. Have you ever heard of that, Steve?
Yeah. Like
they send you to work on Mars for 20 years and then age regress you and take your implants out. And he said, like, they were asking about predictions and stuff. And he had some of the funniest, like, I don't really know what's in QAnon, but it was shit like that. It was like, this must be what they say, like Hillary Clinton, there's going to be a video coming out where she's like dancing around with a child's face that she cut off.
Yeah.
Really like
Basil drip and all that bullshit.
Yeah, right. And they have a secret juice they get out of the children called loosh. Or I guess they get out of everyone, which is just your negative. This is what the lizard thinks so fucking stupid. Like, is that what lizards feed on? Your negative emotions?
So the loosh is a concept that goes back to like Hindu mysticism. It's like
of course. And this is the worst part. They always
like
go back to some Hindu bullshit. This is why when I look for UFO stuff, I got to really sift through a lot of it because then there's like, and that's why the yogis say like, keep that. I want to hear not from Earth shit. I don't want to hear fucking your dumb. The only thing that's dumber than that to me is people that think Buddhism is automatically better. Which me and Jimmy were talking about that when the Dalai Lama was sucking that kid's tongue or whatever.
I'm kissing a 6-year-old, yeah.
And he played. There's an old episode of Penn and Teller's Bullshit that talks all about because Free Tibet. Remember everybody? That was like the Beastie Boys.
Yeah, I was just going off about this. Go ahead, man. I got
everybody was into that.
Took me to that shit. I was at
that
show.
was, and then none of them bring it up now. Tibet, and then they're probably not for a while. They had this tongue sucking incident, but that was like Sharon Stone said like China deserved an earthquake because they weren't very nice to the Dalai Lama. It was probably their karma. I guess when he made Steven Seagal a god, that probably was a chink in his armor. When he declared Steven Seagal to be a deity, and then he sucked my tongue. And anyway, yeah. Sorry, it was coffee coming around that I was looking at wistfully while. Anyway, Jimmy goes. He didn't know about the CIA shit that they were like funding that guy and. The Buddhists they're paying for like and he goes, I thought Buddhism was he had the entire like the like you didn't know shit about Buddhism ideas of Buddhism that only come from America.
Yeah.
But it's the most peaceful one. like that complete like that stuff really got a real sweet washing when it came to America. And disseminate because even people that you wouldn't think of that big as suckers think that it's like, oh no, it's like the good religion
because it's more of a philosophy.
Not really a
right?
religion. It's more right. More of a philosophy.
Yeah, it's not really a religion.
If you don't think it's a religion, then suck my tongue because
right. You get right.
That's more about like geographical regions kind
of where it came from, like where they're doing it, where they're practicing it correctly.
Yes, thank you.
It's not about like here like Gwyneth Paltrow goop it up into some kind of like you could do that with Christianity, just take the nice parts.
Yeah.
Bro, no.
It's a hard no on Buddhism. Am I right, Kurt?
I'll tell you, a buddy
Is that
of
what
mine,
you're saying? It's a hard no.
No, it's not. But my friend of mine said the funniest thing of not trashing Buddhism, but like, here's why. Like, what? he goes, okay, so this is the story of Buddha, right? So Buddha's this Indian prince, and he's very sheltered and rich, and then he goes out in the real world. Yeah, and he goes out and he sees a rich man and a poor man and a dead man right in the streets, and then it blows his mind. So he goes and sits under a lotus or whatever and just contemplates this, and he realized desire is the problem. That's the cause of all. If you just get rid of desire, no one will be unhappy ever again, right? And I'm like, okay. And my buddy goes, or happy. Like, what a stupid. Yeah, no shit. I'll have time to be Buddhist when I'm dead.
Well, the mentality is that you will be happy because the things that you will have when eliminating desire will be more fruitful in what you need. So it's an inner happiness.
Look, I get it. Like, if we've gotten to a point where we can't just enjoy the simple pleasures of sucking on an Indian boy's tongue.
Exactly.
Then Dalai Lama, he don't need. You know, it's like that Prince song. You don't have to be rich.
Yeah.
Dalai Lama doesn't need that PS5. Doesn't need a subscription.
Suck on my tongue.
Boba tea. No,
the guy's quotable. I'll give him that. He's got a lot of. I like his quotes of like people should stop immigrating and stay where they belong. You ever see his great interviews where because that's the thing here, every shitlib or whatever that thinks that Buddhism is the natural. They all can't believe it when he says a thing. They're like, what? Not understanding he's an old school like right wing paramilitary leader.
Yeah. So I had heard all of the happy hippie horse shit about Buddhism when I lived in Bloomington, Indiana, way back in the day, and fucking his brother.
Boy, have you also been to Asheville? You've been to every dumbass. I guess a Renaissance, wherever a Renaissance.
They had nothing to do with Renaissance festivals. Oh. I had an older brother who was like a dead tour hippie.
Yeah, there you go. You know, I've seen Fish. I toured. I didn't tour Fish, but I've gone to 6 Fish concerts.
On purpose.
Never seen Fish. Never seen him one time.
Okay.
I went there to buy opium in the parking lot. That's the only place I could find it. There's a Fish concert parking lot. You can find opium.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
And good vegan sandwiches.
I don't know. I just wanted opium. But you can get it.
Yeah, it's true.
I hope so, or else what will we do in Afghanistan?
Right.
If I can't get opium at a fucking Fish parking lot, why the hell did we go to Afghanistan?
Let me ask you, what color was it?
I got one that also I used to waste it because I didn't understand how you're supposed to smoke it, but I got one that was a little more reddish, and I've also gotten a very black one, and it was like this gummy shit. People are saying roll it into like a snake in your joints. Don't do that. That's a waste. You got to have like a pipe, and you got to hold it, or you're wasting it. You got to hold it in.
9 times out of 10, that's tree sap. Not actually opium. 9 times.
It fucked me up pretty good, like opium.
It'll fuck you up a bit for sure. Yeah.
We thought it was hash when I first had it, and I was like, "This is like way better than hash. This is like a way more enjoyable buzz than hash." It was because it was opium. But if you smoke opium ever, by the way, I smoked a few different kinds. It doesn't turn you into that. It feels like way less bad than like Oxycontin, which I was addicted to for some years. Like it feels like almost nothing compared to that. It feels like if weed was like way better, is how it felt. And I didn't know I was watching about heroin. Did you know heroin? When it first came out, it was marketed as a non-addictive alternative to morphine.
Yeah,
that's so fucking funny that has been going on this long. They're like, finally, something less addictive. Heroin.
Morphine, opioids.
And then by the time I was hooked on Oxy, junkies would be like, oh, yeah, you probably got to switch to heroin because it's like less bad. It won't hurt your liver as bad, and it's cheaper.
And both of those things are true pre-fentanyl. Yeah.
Is that a frothy hot beverage there?
Oh, it sure is. Baby, what is this coffee machine called?
This is an espresso machine.
It's an espresso machine.
You got an espresso machine? You Hollywood?
No, my girlfriend got it, and then I just leave that stuff up to her.
I thought she
frothed the
drink for you. I thought she had like a wand and started frothing it.
Did you froth this with a wand?
No, it has its own
It has its own frother, you poor
It's got
idiot.
yeah.
Oh, you don't have a
Wow.
fucking espresso?
I don't have an espresso. I'm sorry.
A self-foaming
Oh.
espresso unit. You
Nespresso. Nespresso.
Nespresso, asshole.
Dude.
Nespresso.
Nespresso.
Wow.
Jesus.
I guess in Burlington, Indiana, or wherever.
Yeah, I have a
I guess you know about.
I put
Yes,
some grounds in
I
it,
wish I
baby.
could show you, but I would dump this on my laptop. But it's frothy.
Yeah.
It's pretty
I guess-
frothy.
it's frothed up, motherfucker. I saw that. You got to go like this every time. It's like
Now you've got me worked into a froth with how ignorant you both were.
it was what's his name? George Clooney is the spokesperson, along with Danny DeVito. Jeez,
Oh, this
Clooney
is a good one.
Clooney is the spokesperson.
This is the
for
George
Nespresso.
Clooney one. I forgot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you guys are all Hollywood there.
I live in West Hollywood.
No
Yeah,
shit,
I
you're playing,
mean,
you're playing the
okay.
part, even to down to the
That's
fucking
one of the
espresso
most-
machine.
Hollywood places you can live is West Hollywood.
There's a plethora of Nespresso machines out there for you to grab. Which model Nespresso machine?
I like that. Like it's called Holly. Like what people think of as Hollywood is just really a bunch of people that have enough money to not live here where I live in West Hollywood.
Yeah.
Like they'll take a drive here from the better place they live to do whatever. But this is not. It's better than New York was. I'll give it that.
I don't know, man.
Where are you at this week performing, by the way?
I'm in Ontario, California on the 20th, which is tomorrow.
That's tomorrow. Right, I'm going. Can you put me
Oh,
on
you
a guest list? Yeah, put me
Yeah.
on a guest list. What time
Okay.
is it?
I don't know, 8.
8? Okay, yeah.
I got to leave at 5 from where are you at?
I'm coming from the OC.
Okay.
So I'm coming right up to 57 to the 60 and then heading a little east, maybe to the
Okay.
10, whatever it is.
I haven't driven a car in 20 years. I have no idea what any of the
Well,
routes are.
you're further out because you're west, so you got to go all the way there. I'm already east from Orange County, so I just come up from underneath it.
Oh.
So, yeah.
Oh yeah, come out, dude.
Yeah, totally.
I haven't gotten to do a fucking hour for like 3 weeks. I get like rust, dude. I'm not on the road, so I haven't been on the road for like 3 weeks. I get
Yeah.
rusty as hell.
Well, you got plenty of time to shake that rust off. You got a whole hour out there, so you know.
No, yeah, the first 20 minutes are gonna be terrible.
I was gonna say I'm not gonna pay attention to the first 10, 15 minutes. That's when I'll order my drinks and shit like that, and then
And it's gonna peter out by the end, and then the
it's
middle.
gonna warm up though. You'll
the
get a
middle,
nice sweet spot.
honestly.
Get me
I
on with a
saw-
+1. I'm gonna bring Ungi. So
I
I'd
saw
love
the
to.
weirdest
If you can.
performance
If not, you know.
by Martine. What's his name? Gabriel Iglesias's opener.
Oh, I don't know who
Dude
that
has
is.
been touring with them forever. It was right before Easter. He came out and he was like, "Yeah, I'm not gonna do jokes. I'm gonna I'm gonna give like an Easter sermon for the night." And it was just super wild. That's what he
Wait,
decided.
was it funny? That sounds like a good setup.
It
Guys,
could
I'm
have
gonna do an
been.
Easter sermon.
It could have been.
But he
I
did a
think-
legit Easter sermon. is what you're
like he
saying.
was really going more for the I'm here to testify aspect
about
of it.
God.
Yeah,
So he
Yeah, at the-
literally
at
did a
the-
sermon.
at the dirty at 12:30. Yeah, it was weird. It was, and then
Oh,
like 2 nights.
I did the dirty at 12:30.
It's a fantastic show. I love it.
Yeah,
It's right.
That's
down
the best
street
free show in
it's
fucking
right down the
Vegas,
street
man.
from my apartment. I go a couple of times a month.
yeah,
Fucking
but, yeah.
awesome. And then like 2 nights later, I saw Ryan Long at Wise Guys, and
Oh,
it
no
was
shit.
fucking. Oh, dude,
Do I
it
want
was-
to make? He's coming out here in June because I want to make another. He makes sketches. How to make? Because my girlfriend now she's 32. What are you 32? She didn't remember Pussy Hats. Remember Pussy Hats? Those knit
Oh yeah,
hats?
yeah.
Craig, remember Pussy Hats?
You talking about the
What-
ones they wore on for the Women's March?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what they are though. She knew what they were. So I on YouTube, found a CNN video of like really promoting these amazing statement of a pussy hat.
Yeah.
And the girl's knitting, and she's like, "Yeah, it's kind of a play on, pussy hat, pussy cat." I'm like, "What? No, I don't know. What are you talking about?" But those stupid pink hats. But I want to make like maybe they're just called straight up dickheads, but it's not like, you know,
Dickheads.
it's not no dickheads, and it's gonna be a beanie. It's gonna be like a Tim Pool beanie. It's purple.
It's got a nice little line on it.
It's like a purple Tim Pool beanie, and then you know the little puff things. There's gonna be two of them just dangling on your eyes, and then so you have to keep like Tony Hawk. You got to keep flicking the little palms.
Scrotum out of your.
And then it's just guys talking about really serious men's rights topics like child custody issues, and you just gotta keep brushing your. So I'm making these dick hats to raise.
You gotta get him like a scrotum sack of balls hanging.
No, it's gonna be two. It's gonna be. I don't want to make it a straight up dick. It's gonna be a suggestive, just like a pussy hat, which is a knitted pink hat. Yeah. And then, but except for the two little dangly
balls,
they're gonna be just inconvenient, like really annoyingly placed up about the brow. I have to make a prototype for it.
I'm all for it. I am. Let's see where you're going with that. I support this. I do. That's fucking.
We've done some preliminary sketches of it, but my phone's charging, or else I'd show you on the screen.
Are you performing anywhere this weekend too? By any chance as well? Anywhere local?
I forgot to put in my avails to the Comedy Store. I forgot. I just plumb forgot.
Is Jimmy in town this weekend? I got to see what his schedule's like too as well.
He's going today. I know that. It's Aaron Mate today. Jimmy's on the road. Jimmy's not here. You guys are on the road.
Oh shit!
I wanted to bring up a couple of these like this fucking wild shit that New York has decided to do lately with their cops, because I guess it's a little out of hand. I'm not sure. New York, so
dress up like a gay Teletubby, like London.
That would probably be a little bit less frightening overall.
Today, we are announcing 3 new policing technologies in New York City. The K5 autonomous security robot, the Spot Digidog robot, and the Star Chase GPS attachment system. Our job is to fight crime and keep people safe. And these tools are significant steps forward in that vital mission.
We are here to get stuff done. #GSD.
Today, we are.
So we got Daleks and robot dogs at Times Square.
Oh, that is a Doctor Who bot, isn't it? It looks like one of those. It looks like one of those vibrating, like fucking, not like a dildo for chicks, but the one that's like egg shaped. It looks like a vibrator, is what it looks like.
Yeah. It's an enlarged butt plug that will kill you.
It's actually the same shape as Epstein's penis. If you saw that deposition of him,
is that what that was?
Yeah, because he had supposedly had a weird dick, and then you ever saw that where he's sitting there and they're like, "Do you have a penis, the kind of teardrop or egg shaped penis?" He gets up and leaves. He doesn't have to take this shit.
I don't have to answer this question.
He was just smiling like, I can't even believe I'm being asked if my penis is shaped like an egg. His penis is shaped like an egg?
I never wanted to know any of that shit. This is crazy too, though. The NYPD has these little guns that shoot GPS trackers at your vehicle.
Oh man, that's awesome.
Because, the cameras are unreliable. The Star Chase Guardian HX uses the lower receiver from an AR-15 and launches adhesive-tipped GPS trackers.
But it's just weird that it's going to fire projectiles. That just seems like something bad's going to happen with that. And I don't even mean the tracking and all that. I just mean like they have to shoot a thing.
That's the thing.
Someone's not going to get hit with that. Someone's going to get hit with that.
Of course they are. Cross compatible. Yes. Cross compatible with an AR-15.
Now, how come San Francisco didn't think to do that and they just made it like San Francisco's just like, we're going to attach just bombs to them.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that was
what is the possible idea of that? Of putting a bomb on that police bot? Like, is there a legitimate thing that I don't understand?
Putting a bomb on it?
Okay,
Yeah, there's
so
going to have a bomb attached.
This is what they said, because they're going to instead roll out the Epstein penis bot 3000 and spot the robot dog. So they're but first they said bomb, then they said, oh, it was non-lethal, but I guess that sounds crazy anyway. So we're gonna pull back on this particular issuance of robots. New York gets to roll theirs out. In another 6 months, San Francisco will have identical ones.
But what was the bomb thing? I still don't get why they would possibly say that. Like,
so okay, so if you read the thing, it wasn't like it was rolling in with an explosive ordinance. It was supposed to be like flashbang or concussion shit.
oh, okay.
Yeah,
I thought it was like a jihad bot.
it was not. Well, and it sounded like
I thought so
that.
too. Like,
What
get
if
the fuck out of here, or this thing's gonna blow, and everybody's got to exit the premise.
Did David tell one time? I was like years ago. He was out here visiting. He goes, "Remember the Mars rover was dying?" And he goes, Mars rover said its last. It's really sad because we got a lot of information. It's really sad. It said its last transmission, which was Allahu Akbar. It was radicalized. The Mars rover's last transmission.
That seems like an Intel joke too, right?
Yeah.
You want to take
You want
to take a look at what the gun does?
Okay.
Let's take a look at what the gun does. Let's see.
I gotta go to the gym soon, so this pre-workout isn't wasted.
I just asked you that. You said this was the workout.
I know. I was just being silly because I just woke up. I cannot wait until people fuck those robots up in New York. If those things in New York last, if those don't get fucked up, because you need a huge human police force to make sure people aren't gonna fucking fuck with those robots. Like, that's what the flaw of this idea is. So if those last and they're not completely fucked up by it says Times Square, so what? You police Times Square, the place with the most witnesses to a crime, possibly. Like, who's gonna police like East New York and fucking, all the other fucking areas that where there's a policing. I guess maybe the humans. I don't know how many cops they have in Times Square on a regular, but Times Square is not where shit goes down. I mean, stuff goes down there, but that's not like the spot where I would be like, oh, there's not enough police in Times Square.
We were talking earlier in the show with Donald Trump was making this a little statement about how he's going to take care of the homeless people. He's going to, we're going to clean up the cities. We're going to take them off the street. We're going to make camping laws there, put them in play and make them active so that you can't stay there. If anybody goes back, they get arrested. But we're going to take them off grid into campsites. We're going to bring in doctors and nurses and all these other things and psychologists, and we're going to offer them help. And if they want to get help, we're going to get them back into society, that kind of thing. Do you remember what Giuliani did to New York? Like one day, it was like this big fucking sweeping. They made a book about it at the tipping point and shit like that. I just was curious about your opinions.
That was before I moved there. But
Yes.
when I did move there, it was like the safest it had ever been in New York. Yeah. It was because there was fucking cops everywhere. And there was and then like he had this like stupid like no dancing law, and I don't remember what the point of that was. Like in certain bars, it's almost like stripper rules of like if it's fully naked they can't have alcohol kind of rules. Yeah. But for dancing, right? And then the 60-40 laws, which was if you sell dildos now you also have to have like 40% bongs. Like. The shops can't just sell sex shit. It's gotta be like 40% or something or 60%. Yeah. And the irony is most of the, when Tumblr, all the internet shit came out, they all have to be about 60-40 towards porn. Like anybody that didn't have a bunch of porn on their site was not going to make it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like I didn't know the level of, like half of Twitter was full on porn, which I had no idea for many years.
I didn't know it was half of it, but I know there was a decent amount of it back in the days. You know.
Yeah, decent.
What do you think that happened to all the homeless people that were there? Because there's always
Where?
that joke that we're in Manhattan that got like one day they just were gone. Right?
Oh, I remember being the squeegee men. I thought he ground up squeegee men and fed them to other squeegee men, is what I assumed happened, like Soylent Green. But maybe they. I thought that's what the squeegee. That squeegee man shit, yeah. That was like a shakedown thing, the squeegee man thing. It was not like, oh, can I? Which honestly, the car thing is like, I don't want anybody coming up to me in my fucking car. Social problems aside. Not that I have a car, but that's an aggressive ass way. Panhandling got real aggressive. Well, then it just became like where the cellar is. It would just be like somebody just coming up to you, and you like, you know, you couldn't be talking outside for 5 seconds without like 3 or 4 people. Yeah. And then there'd be a couple guys that everybody knew, that everybody liked, and then you would hear rumors that they weren't homeless. Like, that guy's got like a motorcycle and shit, and you know, but I can see why they did better at that game than others, because they were like nice to people. But, you know, it's probably a lot of people that got out of the joint and like all kinds of addicts and shit. New York really made you numb to homelessness and glue traps for mice. Those two things. Glue traps for mice, the most inhumane thing I feel nothing about. Like the first time I caught a mouse on, I felt something like, oh, this is terrible. Then after that, I felt good. Suffer, mouse. Because I had a mouse problem. It was fucking New York. It was awful. We had a hoarder in our building. Some rich guy. He was like a millionaire, but he like didn't pay his water bills and shit. He was bringing garbage in from the street, it turned out. So it was this massive mouse problem in the whole fucking building. Yeah. And you get more than a few of them, dude. New York's repulsive. It's a repulsive place to live.
Haven't lived there in quite some time.
When I lived
still some froth left.
When I lived in the Santa Cruz Mountains, it's the fucking redwood forest. Yeah. And so you would from time to time get wood rats that would come through. When my kids were young.
Okay, I don't think COVID started this way. If this is where we're going. No.
My kids were young.
It was a wood rat.
My youngest kid had a problem with like not finishing all of his food, and sometimes it would wind up like on the floor, under his bed, shit like that. Yeah. There was a winter where we had a wood rat problem.
What is that?
It went from they're a particular kind of rat that I guess different from like a city rat or a brewery rat or something like that. Just different. Where they're a little bit smaller, a little bit bendier, some shit like that. I don't know. At any rate, the solution was an electric trap that just fucking shocks them dead.
Like a bug zapper kind of thing?
But it with a lot more voltage. And so it was supposed to be quicker and more humane than the traditional trap, glue trap, all that stuff. And other animals are around. You don't want to put out legit poison.
So it was like the electric chair was supposed to be more humane, but turned out it was not.
Oh, it operates on batteries, Kurt. So eventually, the amount of voltage or the amount of length of time that it takes to have the animal in there to receive the amount of voltage to kill it becomes longer. So there's like a moment where the rat's like able to fight back and vocalize it. You're like, oh, it's time to change the batteries.
Oh my God. When will they switch to lethal injection do you know what's funny? You just remind me of what's the thing about China? You get executed and they shoot you in the back of the head and then bill your family for the bullet. You've heard of that, right?
Yeah.
That's like the most humane form of execution. I don't think we have any form of execution as humane as that, as a shot in the back of the head. Like all of our executions, if I think of them, are all so much worse.
We're going to strap you to a table. We're going to hook up a series of IVs into your body. We're going to draw back a curtain, and there's going to be up to 20 or 30 people hanging out on the other side of it. Just watch it.
Well, they should watch it. You should have to watch. You know?
My grandfather went to public hangings a couple of times. He was old enough to have been in attendance for those.
Really? Where?
Maryland and Tennessee.
Okay. I mean, were these on the books, so to speak?
Yeah, as far as I know. And
These were Birth of a Nation hangings.
No, this was, the thief murder, stuff like that. If it had been racially motivated, we probably would have heard about it. He wasn't the type of dude to withhold that kind of information.
Did he come or not? That's really the question.
He was 7, so I hope so, and I hope he was able to shower the people in front of him, push them forward.
Nice.
The hell's wrong with you people over here?
Yeah,
I don't know.
Some people pack a cannon. People
did he tell you anything about it? Like what?
He said it was the weirdest experience watching someone actually twitch to death, like hang and expire.
Did he break their neck?
And he said he saw one that was not as smooth. He didn't really go into detail about it, except for he was like, everybody sort of left when the guy started shitting himself uncontrollably.
Oh.
That's when we all sort of cleared out.
Okay.
And
they don't have you take a shit before your execution.
It's involuntary. You start to go, and as you're like everything starts to shut down.
Yeah. That's why you give them an enema before the fucking execution. Like if you're doing anal porn, you would give a nice enema, clear it out, so that it doesn't ruin the whole thing.
Thinking for the janitor. That's why I like you, Kurt. That's why I like you, brother. You're a stand-up guy.
I'm just thinking about the people. It's all fun.
You gotta
for
clean
you.
up after. That gets you, bro.
Yeah, it's all fun for you and your 7-year-old, but somebody cleans up the park at the end of the day.
Shit. Give him an enema first. Let that guy. He's gonna lose some shit anyways, but make it easier on him.
Somebody has to sweep up at Disney World after you've had your fun.
Jesus, janitor lives matters.
At the very least, you could convert your prison toilets to bidets.
Be a lot.
At the very least,
be a lot easier. People will be less irritating.
Do some intermittent fasting before, maybe change up that whole last meal program. Yeah.
Get a lot of fiber in there for the days coming and make sure that, everything's cleared on out. And, a nice Nespresso machine. Do it up.
I was a good espresso. I gotta go to the gym. I'm gonna waste this entire this pump that I'm gonna have going.
Well, you want to let
going on the road anytime soon?
He's going Thursday. Ontario. Thursday,
Ontario, Canada.
Ontario, I'll be there, brother.
All right, yeah, I'll see you.
In-house, man. In-house for sure. Fucking having a good time. It's 420, bro. I'll be prepared. I'll be ready. I'll have some gummies.
Nice.
Look forward to seeing you, brother.
You too, man. All right, guys. Thanks. I'll see you later.
You doing Jimmy today, by the way?
Yeah, with Aramate's the guest.
Nice. Have fun, brother. And we'll see you soon.
Bye.